Hey, good morning, guys. It is January 17th, and kind of a deep one today. It's interesting. It's more doctrinal than some of the other ones. It he references Galatians 1:15 through 16, which is Paul basically giving a little bit of his background to the church in Galatia, and he is um, talking about when God called him and revealed his son in him, and then he to preach to the Gentiles. And Chambers puts a twist on this, and he talks about how the God calls us, and that is basically in his nature. That's it's the expressive part of his nature to us, his call to us. And we talked about this one of the previous days, which was Jesus when he approached the would-be apostles said, "Follow me," and his call was basically, "Hey, come here, be in communion with me," and that was it. There was no "Follow me," and he at one point he did say, "I'll make you fishers of men," but that wasn't the original call. So um, anyway, Chambers is kind of highlighting that God's call, and Paul reflects it here in Galatians 1, where he says, "When it pleased God to reveal His Son in me," and so that's just that the way God expresses Himself to humanity is the gift of His Son, how He reveals His Son in us. And then here's what Chambers challenges us. He kind of puts this twist on service and what service is. And this is an interesting point because some people think and get this impression that service is an act that is. Um, Jesus does say, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments." But then even His commandments are love the Lord your God, love your neighbor as yourself. And those aren't actions necessarily, but out of those flow actions. So love and love are the two things that Jesus commands us. So love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So what Chambers is trying to key in on, I think, is the fact that we sometimes get things backwards, and we think that service is somehow brings us closer to God. And what he's trying to say is, or service to God brings us closer to this communion with God. And what Chambers is kind of getting at in this one is that it's the other way around. Once God reveals His Son in us, then service is because of who we are, because of how God created us, because of our nature. Service is the outward expression of our reaction to God's call in us. And he puts it this way in the second paragraph here. Service is the overflow of superabounding devotion, but profoundly speaking, there is no call to that, to service in particular. It is my own little actual bit, and it's the echo of my identification with the nature of God. The nature of God being this outward expression to us of wanting to reveal His Son in us, and this call of God to be in communion. And then he goes on to say in the close to the end here, service is expressive of that which is fitted to my nature. Okay, so service is not God's command to me. Service is because of my nature, because of the way God's created me. Service is the way I respond to this call. So God's call is expressive of His nature. So His call, the way He deals with us, that's the way that's His nature being reflected to us. And my service is my nature, by virtue of the fact that that's how God created me, in response to Him, reflected to Him. Consequently, when I receive His nature and hear His call, the voice of the divine nature sounds in both Him and me, and the two work together. Sounds in both His nature and His call. Sorry. So that's what it's talking about when it says in both, and the two work together. I'm receiving His nature and His call, and so I think maybe it's just a good reminder to us that when we serve, that should be and is appropriately a response, a natural response of God's revealing his Son in us. If service doesn't come in that kind of context, then we're doing it wrong. And I think it's one of those things that if we're doing it for our own satisfaction, it's fruitless. It really is. We've got the wrong intention. So anyway, I'll leave you with that.